Welcome into Queen City News Plus Live. I know it probably doesn't seem like it after the 2 weekends we've had, but it is February, everyone.
Yes.
Believe
Finally.
it or not. Yes.
Finally, because this January was a really long year.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Sunday,
Long year.
It was
I didn't
really
even
long
realize
year.
it was February until
Yeah.
like yesterday afternoon.
Hey, it doesn't smell in here as much as I thought it would from you guys basically living in here over the weekend. You did
Yes.
a wonderful job
Yes.
with all of our coverage, with the snow, and then last weekend
10
with
hours
the
of coverage
ice.
here from the Blue Room on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was impressive, and I think we got a number of viewer emails from people in states all over the place.
You didn't bring the cheese head in, though.
I didn't bring the cheese
That's
head
a good
in.
thing.
I'm a little suspect that the stream cut off the second I put my cheese head on.
Yeah.
So
We started
I think
having technical
we need a
issues.
full-blown investigation.
I don't
into
know what
what
happened.
exactly went,
Yeah,
went on
We don't
there.
know. We don't know at all. We don't know at
Those
all.
Packers,
Yeah.
All right, so I'm Morgan Francis. This is Derek Dellinger. We have meteorologist Brandon Lawson and producer, director, host now. 'Cause
Yeah.
Every now and
You
then.
were-
My
yes.
CV just
Yes.
gets
Oh, yeah.
longer by
Yeah.
the
Yes.
week.
Quite the list of
Trial by
accomplishments
fire,
out
right?
there.
It was
Austin,
fun.
Austin McCullum, you all know him. Thank you so much for watching today and tuning in. Obviously, you know by now we've been talking about the snow that blanketed the Carolinas
Quite a
and
bit.
Charlotte region.
Yeah.
What was the final total here in Charlotte?
I think they said 11 inches here in
I thought
Charlotte.
so.
And there are still some spots like this is literally right outside of our station. This is Performance Road near Sam Wilson, and you notice that there's an Amazon truck that is
Right.
literally parked right in the middle of the road there. That presented an issue. In fact, there were multiple trucks that were out there trying to get into our, we were trying to get into our station. They were trying to get into the Amazon warehouse nearby. But this just compounds a lot of the issues people have been seeing because the roads, as you can see there, still icy, still a little bit snowy. And it's making for some rough driving across the Charlotte area. And, well, for that matter, pretty much all across the Carolinas because, if I'm not mistaken, every one of the 100 counties in North Carolina, they did get some sort of snow this past weekend, and that is saying a lot.
Yeah, we know that CMS has already announced that they're going to be closed tomorrow. A number of school districts doing the same thing. The question is, what does the rest of the week look like for us? Let's bring in meteorologist Brandon Lawson. Brandon, I know you've talked a lot of weather this weekend, but
Yes.
can you give us just a little bit more?
Yeah, I need to know
Yeah.
when. I need to know when exactly I will be able to wash all the salt off my car at this point.
Well, I will say this. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to, melt off 11 inches of snow. So,
Yeah.
Yes,
the
yes, 'cause they're-
refreeze is going to
yeah.
be there,
Yeah.
and that's something we're going to have to deal with. But I do think I'd say Thursday or Friday, Derek, probably start washing your car.
good.
We'll probably start seeing a lot less icy spots. Now, looking at the top Charlotte snows, just in one day, this was the fourth largest snowfall that Charlotte has seen in just one day with 11 inches. 14 inches back in 1902. That's the top snow day,
I remember
February
that one.
15th. Yeah, you got to go back pretty far for that one. I'm not sure.
It just
if
doesn't
anybody
happen all
be
that often. That's
Living
the
to
thing.
give us a testimony on that one. But yeah, 14 inches. So, I mean, it just goes to show that this was a major event. I got to go through each snowfall total, city by city, town by town. But just wanted to show you, there were some areas that got well over a foot. Kannapolis, 16.5 inches of snow, 14.5 inches in China Grove, 13.5 in Concord, 13 also in Salisbury, Harrisburg, and up through Huntersville and Cramerton, and even Troutman getting up to a foot. And then Gastonia, close to a foot of snow. I mean, we were talking about areas that got higher than spots in Avery County and up into Boone. So Boone, I didn't even put on the chart. Clover at 9 inches, Fort Mill at 9 inches, and then you're getting a little bit further down, Rock Hill about 7 inches, Morganton, Taylorsville, and also Lincolnton there at 7 inches of snow, 8 inches in Mount Holly. So this was a major event. And then you got the cold air following it, and that leads to bigger problems on the roads. And we had a big refreeze last night. All that snow melted off through the day on Sunday, and then whatever was left over as water refroze last night. And the big reason why, air temperatures here were in the single digits. We dropped to 1 degree in Salisbury last night. And the airport in Rowan County has been keeping track of things since 2000. Since 2000, this is the coolest it's been at that site. So 1 degree in Salisbury, 7 last night in Gastonia, 4 in Lincolnton, 4 degrees in Boone, 3 degrees in Wadesboro. So single digits for the most part. I did drop to 10 in Charlotte, which is actually tied for the record low for the day, set back in 1917. And it's actually the coldest we've been since December of 2022 when we had that big Arctic blast right after Christmas. in 2022. So yeah, 10 degrees this morning, some 20 or so degrees below where we should be in the morning for this time of year. Now, temperatures did rebound. We're in the low 40s right now. We'll continue to thaw things out. 42 in Charlotte, 38 in Lincoln, 37 in Hickory, 26 in Boone right now. So the weather story is just lingering cold and slick travel. I think we'll have another refreeze tonight. Temperatures will be dropping into the teens and 20s, so whatever is still water is going to stay as water and likely freeze as we go overnight tonight. Satellite radar clear. Another system on the way, and this one's a tricky one, folks. We'll get some showers midweek, and yes, maybe some more snowflakes mixed in. We'll detail when that could be coming up here just a
not
little
today,
bit.
Satan.
Yeah.
Come on.
Really?
Yeah, it won't be as
Really?
bad, and it won't be as impactful, but don't be
Still.
shocked. There's just a few more snowflakes flying around the Queen City, or at least the Charlotte area here soon.
We just keep
Really?
getting hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
boy.
All
Okay.
right, Brandon. Thank you.
Thanks. We do begin our other stories that are happening today with simply put, this is an unusual story that's happening out of Arizona. The mother of NBC Today show anchor Savannah Guthrie is missing right now. It is right now considered her home is right now being considered a crime scene after she went missing over the weekend. Now, she was last seen Saturday night. She was reported missing on Sunday after she didn't show up to church. Family friends reached out to family. Family started doing a search for her. They called 911. This has become a national story mainly because of who this involves, and specifically Savannah Guthrie's mother, who is well known who's rather known in her own right. She talks openly about her mom. But they are still trying to figure out exactly where she is and what may have happened to her. They say there are indications right now that she did not leave on her own.
Well, yeah, and the details are kind of odd, right? So the sheriff said we do in fact have a crime scene, and made a point to say that she is sharp as a tack. There are no issues
She's
with
84, so
dementia or anything like that, but that she's not very mobile. So she has limited mobility, and so those are kind of the details they're releasing. You can tell that there's something that they're keeping close to their chest that they're not revealing to the public for whatever reason. Maybe it's investigative purposes. But again, Nancy Guthrie, she would always go to church, and all of a sudden she didn't show up, and people got concerned. She was last seen at 9:30 Saturday at her home near the Tucson area, and hasn't been seen since. They have a homicide team involved, search dogs, drones, Border Patrol,
And they're asking for tips
and
at this point, too.
volunteers.
Yes.
And so it's odd. They say we don't see this as a search mission as much as it is a crime scene. So it kind of makes you wonder what exactly happened. Hopefully we'll learn more details, and that she's in the coming days, and that obviously she's found safe.
Yeah, Savannah Guthrie did release a statement saying, on behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear Nancy. Other story happening today, the shutdown. It's hard to believe with all the snow that's been happening, but there's not really been a lot of discussion about the shutdown, at least on our area the past little bit, because we've been focusing on the weather. But there's a partial government shutdown that is in effect right now that they are trying to effectively end.
And it sounds like they're inching closer to it. So the House is set to vote on Tuesday on legislation that was approved by the Senate last week. Republicans and Democrats have really been battling out over these reforms to ICE. This is in light of everything that has happened in Minneapolis with the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. So the package would fund the government through September, ending the partial shutdown. But then they want to take the extra funding for DHS and ICE and tie it to a 2-week extension at current funding levels. While reforms are negotiated. Some of those reforms are ICE agents wearing body cameras.
And having better identification and not necessarily wearing the masks.
Right, and training them basically how to interact with the public. And cuts on certain ICE enforcement and removal operations, as well as provisions to bar DHS or ICE to deport U.S. citizens. So some Republicans want to quell backlash on the fatal shootings that have happened. And other Republicans are accusing their colleagues of just giving in to Democrats' demands, and they want to instead double down on the ICE enforcement.
Yeah, and the Senate already passed this bill, so it's right now in the House. And Speaker Mike Johnson says he is confident that it will be able to get passed, even though there is a full acknowledgement here that this will be, among everyone outside of Mike Johnson, basically saying, hey, yeah, this is going to be an uphill battle, pretty much.
While that's going on, there was also 3 million pages from the Epstein files that were released, 2,000 videos, 180,000 images. According to the New York Times, something a little odd happened in this release. So at least a dozen nude or sexualized photos of young women, possibly minors, were briefly made public before members of the media noticed it and alerted authorities, and then they took it down.
And then there's also been reportedly some others that have also been taken down since then as well. But the names that have been tossed around here do include the former Prince Andrew and his wife Sarah, as well as Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and President Trump. We should mention that they are it's largely correspondence invitations to Epstein's Island, which is now infamous. But there's nothing to suggest anything salacious in some of these communications that were happening back and forth. Also mentioned, former President Bill Clinton.
One of them.
Bill Clinton.
You know, the allegation, obviously unverified, but one of the allegations was that Bill Gates had an extramarital affair or sex with Russian girls and then contracted an STD. You know, a lot of these allegations that have been laid out in these releases have been denied by the people who are mentioned.
But one of the photos that's making the rounds right now that has kind of been a known photo. It's a photo of Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew,
right.
kneeling over an unidentified woman on the floor. Her eyes are blocked out. They were redacted.
Yeah, right.
So you don't necessarily see who it is, but it appeared to be a woman who was, shall we say, younger than him.
Right.
But as far as whether it actually suggested anything salacious, that is something that's completely.
I think most people are
there.
looking for Trump mentions and Clinton mentions.
And people have been looking for that, yes.
Not a whole lot of new information in there. Their names were mentioned a whole bunch of times, but again, nothing that's new or super groundbreaking with this latest release.
And anyone who is involved here there's nothing that suggests any wrongdoing, and anybody who has been contacted, who has made a comment, has said flat out that they did not do anything wrong. The other story that's kind of going on, and then has been, but actually here in Charlotte, there is an audit that was done that has been released by the Federal Transit Administration over cats, and this was in response to the Irina Zarutska death that happened late last year. This found a bunch of findings, 18 findings of deficiencies within the system in cats, made 7 recommendations. They also made recommendations for those deficiencies as well, but there's a lot there. A
lot of processes that they found that cats just wasn't doing or wasn't keeping up with what was required of them. So, for instance, one of them was, CATS has not established or implemented a process to monitor its operations to identify any safety risk mitigations that may be ineffective as required. So there were 18 of these that the FTA found out about, and they were here in person. They had virtual meetings. It was this big audit that was done on the CAT system. And remember, this was in light of the two stabbings rather that happened. One was the stabbing death of Irina Zarutska that gained international attention, and then another one shortly after. So within 30 days of this letter, CATS must develop and submit corrective action and plans to the FTA that address, all the findings and their list of recommendations.
And we should mention that CATS has already instituted at least some of those. And so this audit was basically for what was kind of going on at the time. And CATS has since submitted a mitigation list. They did so, in fact, in November. In fact, the FTA did confirm the agency commitment to carry out the safety risk mitigations outlined in the document. In addition to that, they also noted positive observations about safety measures to make more off-duty cops, also fair enforcement a thing on the light rail. Because the audit did find all these deficiencies, but this is something that we need to emphasize here, at least on the parts of CATS, even though we do not have an official statement from them as of yet that they have been addressing.
Well, and the FTA is going to continue to review their progress and make sure that everything's being followed.
Before we go to break, there is another thing we need to tell you about. And if we can take this full, just us full real quick. There is a mass shooting investigation that happened in Concord. It was a shooting that happened Friday night along Farrington Drive Northwest in Concord. Found 4 people with gunshot wound victims, 2 dead, 2 injured. We are still working to get more information on this, and as we get information, we will pass it along. This is Queen City News Plus Live. We'll have more right after this. .316. This is Queen City News Plus Live as we take a live look at Independence Boulevard. It looks a lot better than it did on Saturday.
What a
I will say that. Yes, because you could barely, first off, you couldn't even make out this uptown skyline. but it was just so snowy.
We could barely make out that
yeah.
bridge.
You
couldn't even make out the skyline.
You can
too,
even
from
make
a lot
out
of the
anything
shots,
past
yeah.
that bridge. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was.
Things are getting back to normal, though.
Yeah, they are. In fact, we just got an email from Katz basically saying that Bus and Blue Line will be returning to regular service tomorrow. Gold Line still going to be out because of the ice and snowy conditions that are still out there. So again, slowly getting back to normal, but we still will be seeing some very, very chilly temperatures. And in fact, we've got Brandon Lawson. We'll be here in just a couple minutes to give us an update on that weather and also that 7-day forecast too. So last night, big night for music. The Grammys were there, and a lot of big winners. The Bad Bunny won for Album of the Year for his Debí Tirar Más Fotos album.
How do you say that again?
Debí Tirar Más Fotos.
That was good.
I should have taken more photos. That's what it means. so literally, that's what it
All
means.
right.
Kendrick Lamar.
First, by the way, that
SZA,
was the first all Spanish language album to win Album of the Year.
Yes, it was.
That's pretty impressive.
It was. Kendrick Lamar and SZA won for Luther for Record of the Year. Olivia Dean won for Best New Artist. And honestly, out of all those, Olivia Dean, I'm really happy.
She's incredible.
Yes. First off, reminds me a mix of between Norah Jones and Sade.
Yeah.
Yes. And very, very silky voice and very good performer.
Any surprises for you?
Not really. I'll be honest with you.
Sometimes I feel like a lot, and Austin and I were talking about this, is sometime at the Grammy Awards, you discover artists.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I feel like a lot of times there's that good mix of those who are super well known. Kendrick Lamar, obviously.
Yes. And Bad Bunny had a really big year anyway.
Right,
so, yeah.
right. And then there are those that you kind of just discover, which is fun.
Yeah. It was politically charged. That ceremony was politically charged. There were a lot of mentions about ICE and immigration, particularly from Bad Bunny. President Trump, though, has...
Trevor Noah, too, made an Epstein and Trump-related comment, and that got the president fired up as well.
He has actually threatened to sue Trevor Noah over some of his statements, but as of yet, Trevor Noah himself has not necessarily made his statements. That's Olivia Dean, by the way. Very good artist. I've got at least 3 of her songs on my playlist, so for what it's worth. Let's go to Washington now. Kennedy Center. Some renovations are going to be happening there. At least that's the official word coming from the administration today. And those renovations are going to be resulting in a 2-year closure of the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, so that was just announced, and they're expecting the construction to start in July. Trump recently added his name to the building. I think it's still
as you can see.
Okay, I think it's still unofficial, is it not?
Yeah. It's still considered the Kennedy Center for the Arts. Yes.
And there's been a wave of cancellations from performers who have now refused to perform there. Some who have said that it just doesn't align with what their music represents, since the president had ousted the previous leadership at the Kennedy Center.
In addition to, there was a lot of controversy over him putting his name also on the Kennedy Center as well.
Right.
In fact,
from the Kennedy family, from a lot of members of the Kennedy family.
Yes, the president, and this is a direct quote here, said, "This important decision, based on input from many highly respected experts, will take a tired, broken, and dilapidated center, one that has been in bad condition both financially and structurally over many years, and turn it into a world-class bastion of the arts, music, and entertainment." The Associated Press, we should note, has noted that there's no evidence of the claims that the president is making. And Trump himself even noted last year that the center would be open during these renovations, which had been previously announced, but now this closure is happening for the renovations.
Just one of many projects. Obviously, we know that he demolished the East Wing of the White House and launched a massive $400 million ballroom project as well. So a lot of projects in the works.
Yes. Yeah. So the whole Groundhog Day thing. We're talking about the movie. We're actually talking about the day itself. And if Punxsutawney Phil sees a shadow, we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. Well, guess what? He saw a shadow. And according to him, we'll have 6 more weeks of winter.
There's no way this winter is ever going to end as long as this groundhog keeps seeing his shadow. He's got to be stopped.
Well,
I have to stop him.
I will put it to you this way. If
Austin got it.
Yeah. True. But there's something to be said about how accurate Punxsutawney Phil is. Only is usually about a 1 in 3 chance of that actually happening.
Okay.
There are some other groundhogs. I think there's a Staten Island groundhog.
Yeah.
That has
Does it have an accent?
Probably has a better track record. It's usually about 85%. Closer to 85%. That's actually able to more accurately predict.
So that's the most accurate groundhog out of all of the U.S.
If you choose to believe a groundhog for your weather. In this case, We here at Queen City News do not, because we have a pinpoint weather team with a bunch of meteorologists.
They
that
always get so worked up when you talk about the
Brandon,
groundhog.
I was gonna
Yes.
say, I do love Groundhog Day. I'll be honest.
Because
I do.
Tara Lane was saying that, that you're not a fan
No,
of it.
I love it.
Okay.
I love Groundhog Day. It's one of my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I honestly,
There we go.
now
I didn't know you had-
Ted
I didn't
Payton,
know you had
he
this.
can't stand it.
Yeah.
He doesn't like it. Now, I enjoy
I
Groundhog
believe that.
Day. I think it's just it's just funny. I just think it's funny. Now,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, Staten Island Chuck,
yes.
85% accurate. Gerald Beauregard Lee down in
Beauregard
Georgia,
Lee.
yeah,
Yeah.
80%. Lander Lil, Wyoming,
Yeah.
75% accurate. Concord Charlie, which I covered in West Virginia for a little bit, up in Concord University, 65%. And then Gertie, the groundhog in Illinois,
We have
65%.
We have this many groundhogs.
There's a lot
forecasting
of
the weather.
groundhogs. Yeah,
Everybody wants their piece of the pie.
yeah.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of
We have one
groundhogs.
don't we have one in Mecklenburg County that always does it too?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
thought we
I'll
did.
research
I
Okay.
just remember
But-
like the inventive the New Year's ball drops that
Yeah.
happened across the I think they have like the possum drop in on like the western part of North
Right,
Carolina
right.
for a
Every
bit.
every
Yeah.
town is starting to
do
adopt
get
its
to
own
have
special
their own little thing. Yeah.
So I've got these, and I actually went and I wanted to see what each one predicted. And out of the top 5 most accurate groundhogs, 3 out of the 5 predicted a longer winter.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So, I mean, when you look at the majority here, now
Haven't we
Concord
already had
Charlie,
enough winter
Lander
already?
Lil, you know, so, well, yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
kind of all just done with
Wintered
the winter
out.
season.
We can't
Yeah.
stand 2 weekends of snow.
Yeah, and believe it
Well-
or not, I mean, we're still dealing with winter storm impacts. I mean, we still have those travel issues out there from the storm we had on Saturday. Power outage is not really a concern, but we're still plowing and shoveling out of the snow for sure. I mean, we are still definitely trying to get out of our driveways, our neighborhoods, and I heard people on Saturday or Sunday morning when I was, walking to the car early in the morning, people were using leaf blowers to try and get some of the snow out of the way. So
Might have
just
been
be
one of those
careful.
people.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Very
That and
light
a
and
broom.
fluffy
Never
snow.
felt so Carolina.
It was easy to move. And I tell you what,
Make it work.
Carolina snow, we usually get kind of a wet and heavy with snow, so it's usually
was
really
very
hard to get
light.
rid of it. But yeah, the cold temperatures led to more of a dry and fluffier snow. And we're still dealing with the cold air today. I mean, Charlotte's just trying to get into the upper 30s and low 40s here. Up towards Pittsburgh, they're at 27, 21 Detroit. A little bit warmer towards Texas, though. Dallas and Houston getting back to reality a little bit, up to 70 degrees. We are up to 42 in the Queen City. We're at 45 in Lancaster, 45 in Sherrall, 37 up in Salisbury. And today's highs, I mean, really flirting with the low 40s for the most part. Again, though, it's going to be kind of another very cold night. We're not going to get as cold as we did last night. I'm not expecting single digits, but I am expecting a lot of teens. Yeah, I'm expecting low 20s. So that's about 10 to 15 degrees below freezing, and anything that's still liquid when the sun goes down will likely refreeze tonight and lead to another treacherous morning of travel in some areas, especially shaded areas where there's little sun, and also side streets as well that might have been untreated. Tomorrow's highs, though, we've got more low to mid 40s, so we'll be slightly warmer tomorrow afternoon. The warmer start certainly helps with that. So commute forecast this afternoon, this evening, just use caution. There's still going to be some shaded areas that are going to be very wet and slushy tonight. Use caution for black ice. Same for your morning commute on Tuesday. And even Tuesday afternoon, if you're out around noon, 1 o'clock, there could still be a few icy shaded areas. We've already had numerous school cancellations for tomorrow just due to some of those icy concerns on some of those side streets, neighborhood roads, and shaded spots. So use caution there. 11 inches of snow in Charlotte. I mean, that's a lot to bury out of. It was the biggest snowstorm we've had since February 26, 2004. A little over 11 and a half inches of snow then. No snow today. We're clear, plenty of sunshine, dry conditions, but off to the west, we've got another system that's going to be moving in. So this will bring a few showers late Tuesday, and then also through the early portions of Wednesday. So late Tuesday, right when you're probably going to sleep, around 10, 11 o'clock, showers start rolling into Charlotte, and then it's just kind of some scattered showers along and southeast of I-85 as we get to Wednesday morning. But I want to point something out. The system's going to exit out of here, I'm thinking Wednesday night, but it's going to wrap moisture around with it. And there could be some lingering moisture Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Now, I kind of shrugged this off earlier this morning, but model runs have been trending a little bit up with some of the snow
Austin,
across
cut
the
his
area
mic. Cut his mic.
Thursday morning. Now, this won't be anything like this weekend, but it could be a little sneaky system Wednesday night and a Thursday morning, some sneaky snow that may catch people off guard, especially if we even get like a half an inch or an inch of snow. I mean, temperatures get cold enough, it could lead to some travel impacts Thursday morning. So something to keep in mind and something we'll watch. Now, the temperature outlook as we go into next week, A lot of warming across the country. I do think it will be still kind of chilly here, but it will be warmer. I think we've got more 50s in the forecast probably next week. But for now, we'll stay in the 40s. Overnight lows mainly in the 20s and 30s for by mid and late this week.
Well, and that's the thing we're watching are those overnight lows because it's the refreezing that
when I
keeps
woke
causing a
kids
lot of
home from
issues.
school.
Yeah, when I woke up this morning, it was 12 outside my place.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, I mean, it was, I think, 9 degrees when I woke up this morning.
Oh,
So,
boy.
So I will say, Morgan, to your credit earlier, we did have a prognosticator of prognosticators here locally, Queen Charlotte, but she passed away in 2022. She was at Discovery Place.
Okay.
So the only one we
Very
have left in North Carolina is Snerd, Snerd. He's in
Eastern
Gar-
part of the
in Garner.
state.
Is he
Yeah.
accurate though? That's what I want to know.
I'll look up the data.
We got to talk to Discovery Place, bring that
Alright.
back.
We got time for a break, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
All
let's
right.
take that break. We'll be back. This is Queen City News Plus Live. So as we've been mentioning, it's been really cold out there. And the National Weather Service in Morehead City, it was apparently really cold, 8 degrees. In fact, they decided to do the hot water trick, take some hot water outside
I've
to
seen
see.
this many times.
And this is what happened to it once they actually got it up in the air. They just threw it out.
It's always fun to watch it when someone does it right. When they do it wrong and they pour boiling water on themselves, that's when it just doesn't go
But
as
they did it right.
planned,
And it looked like shooting stars.
Yeah,
That's exactly
it
what it
did.
looked like, as it should have.
Thanks so much for watching Queen City News Plus Live. We really appreciate it.
We'll see you here tomorrow.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.